All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Two Beers with the Band. I'm your host, and the song you just heard was Maine by the one, the only, LeVan the Man. All right, LeVan, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, I have you listed as a photographer and producer. So if you could give us a little information about you and let us know what you're sipping on, we'll get started.
So my name is LeVan The Man, and yes, I am a photographer, digital photographer, and a music producer. I started my photography my junior year in high school, and it started off with landscape photography. I took about a couple of photos during the winter. Both of those photos, I did a cool tone edit, and then I did a warm tone edit. And with that, I went for winter and fall. Both of those images, I end up selling a couple of copies in downtown Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is where I was attending high school. Then I entered both of those for a Scholastic award. I received the Scholastic Gold Key for both of those images.
All right.
Later, both of those images were, how do I say, they were posted in a hospice home in one of in the main office where the families go and they start to admit their loved ones into the hospice home. After that, that really, I think that was the final straw that made me become a lot more interested and invested in photography. From there, that's when I started to expand from landscape to abstract to portraiture. I love making people smile and I love capturing that moment. So that is something that I continue to do and I love to do, whether it's self portraits or it's portraits of just just portraits of people, headshots to proposals, family portraits, just portraits of any nature. Really, that's really what I like to do with photography. Um, then going on into music, I actually started both around the same time, my junior year in high school. I started off with music production on my phone with an app called Pocket Band, or what is what used to start off as Uloops, transitioned to Pocket Band, and around 2016, I want to say summer 2016. That's when the app no longer existed. Basically, they stopped publishing with the app. I started working with a MacBook, and then a desktop Mac, and that's when I discovered GarageBand. I started using GarageBand, and it seemed pretty easy for me to learn how to use. So I started with those presets. I ended up purchasing an audio box. It's called Personas 96 audio box, which has plugins, has hundreds of plugins, and that is something that you use to connect with your DAW, your digital audio workstation. From there, I started learning how to produce music from the plugins, and then from actually teaching myself how to play piano and learn chords and progressions. And then from there, I mean, that's just been where I've done since then, which was that was around 2016 onward. That's when I really started working with hands on doing the music production. And again, it's self taught. I didn't take any lessons. I didn't study that. I did study photography. I went to school for photography. So about roughly 3.5, 4 years with that on and off. And I graduated with Bachelor of Fine Arts in digital photography. So there's that passion, and then there's music. I felt like with music, I can learn that myself and was studying the business side of it, which I am to this day learning the business side of it.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get too much further in the interview, what are you sipping on?
I am sipping on some of the finest of cervezas, Modelo Especial. I want to give a shout out to my friend Armando, or we call him Mondo. He's the one who put me on Modelo. I was
Okay.
never really a fan of the Budweisers or anything like that. Once he introduced me to Modelo, I was like, "Yep, that's what I'm sipping on. That's what I'm sipping
All
on. My
right.
go-to
Why do you like Modelo over the Budweisers and the Coors and the other mainstream beers?
flavor, flavor. Modelo has flavor. Budweiser, Bud Light, Coors, it is overpowered with the foam. And yes,
Mm.
you can probably drink a 6 pack. You could probably even drink a little closer to the 12 pack of Budweiser. But I do not enjoy the taste. When it comes to drinking, and I don't do that often, but when it comes anymore, but when it comes to drinking, I like to sip. I like to enjoy the drink. It's almost synonymous to drinking wine. You want to taste the flavor, you want to enjoy that flavor. So you can switch. Some people like to switch it around. Sometimes I do that too. You hit all the taste buds when you're drinking it,
Right.
and
Right.
it
Yep.
tastes good.
Oh,
I'm more of a cerveza person, so Modelo being my go to. That'd be why. There's Modelo Especial, Modelo Negra, which is the darker Modelo, which is cool. From time to time I'll drink that, but you just can't go wrong with this. You just can't go wrong with it.
all right. Well, I will be sipping on a Sam Adams Flannel Fest. It's a Munich style Dunkel. It's a 5.8% ABV lager. Picked this up earlier this week at my local beer store. I hadn't seen it yet. It being seasonal, I thought I would have seen it by now,
Mhm.
but man, that is a pretty beer. Wow.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, it's not showing up on the camera. The camera is not doing this beer justice.
It's a nice color,
Neither
though.
wa neither was that pour. Wasn't doing this beer justice, but
It's a
I'm
technique
gonna
to the pour.
uh, yeah, and thing is I poured it a little too fast, buddy. It just no, my camera is not enjoying this beer. But hopefully I'll enjoy this beer because it is really, really pretty. So while I'm waiting on this beer to settle,
Mhm.
what is your definition of a producer?
So a music producer is someone who creates an arrangement of sounds and frequencies, rather it be live instruments or it be instruments through a computer. They create the sound, they create the vibrations, they create the mood, the tone, the emotion that really is a guide to the artist, the recording artist. Rather, they're using a keyboard, an MPC beat pad, again, or live instruments. They are the orchestrators. In a sense, I like to say, they're the leaders of music. They are most of the times behind the scenes when it comes to music production.
Okay. What skills does a good producer have to have? And do you have those skills?
You need to have a sound mind, but you also need to be able to understand when something is in key, out of key, or out of pitch. Um, learning, always wanting to learn and improve, learning the different ways you can level out sounds, whether it's through stereo, using stereo method or the mono method. You also want to be aware of layering. Be aware of when you're making a beat, is it for someone to solely listen to, or is it for someone to actually be able to record over and speak to? I think that's an important thing when it comes to being a music producer is when you make a beat, are you using this for listening? Are you using it for advertisement? Are you using it for cinema? Are you using it for video games? Is there's multi purposes for music? Um, you definitely want to be able to make sure you have your core idea, your purpose while you're making the song or while you're making the beat. What the intentions are behind that beat.
So when you make a beat, do you sit down and try to figure out what you just said? When you
Correct.
make a beat, are you making it for a certain artist or just artists in general? Or are you not feeling that and you want to make a beat that just can stand alone or it can be background for a video game?
Correct.
Some so
Cor-
you have that in mind when you sit down and make a beat.
to be honest, from the start, I usually don't. I'll say it like this. When I open up my DAW, usually I already have a melody or a drum pattern that's already just cooking up in my head. It's already in motion. It's already going from there. Once I lay down that first track, maybe a couple of tracks, then I start to think, okay, I usually build it I usually build it for like the chorus or the verse. And usually when I'm making beats, I have that in mind. Okay, I'm gonna have a verse. From that verse or the chorus, you pull away from it, or you how do I say you start to deconstruct it. You start to break it down because it all kind of builds up from that and it all flows from that. So once I have that verse going on or that chorus going on, then I start to pull away. I may pull away the drums. I may pull away a melody or a counter melody, and then have, let's just say, I'll have a melody sitting there along with excuse me, I have a melody sitting there and maybe a bass line, just to get the beginning of the motions of it of the beat to start. Um, hmm, yeah, that's really how I go about it. Once I start to once I start to break down the beat from chorus to verse, because they are different, usually the verse has less. So at that point, that's when I start to think, okay, I'm making this for a person to listen to, or I'm making this for a person to record over, or I'm making this for generally for a show, maybe a movie. The thing is, when it comes to that, is the structure of a song. Usually, you have one, be your intro, two. Some people do an intro, a bridge, and then they do a chorus, or so that's three parts right there. Or they flip it and they do intro, chorus, a bridge into the verse, which is your fourth part of the song. So essentially, you have four parts, but you'll end up repeating you end up repeating a couple of parts. You may do it a couple of times if you just have one artist, or if you want the artist to do multiple verses, you repeat or loop the bridge and the chorus and then the verse. And essentially the outro is almost a repeat of the intro, but there's probably a couple of things that you take out to kind of wind it down because you you're bringing it down.
Yeah. So you spoke a minute ago about emotions in the beats. Do all beats have emotion?
Yes, they do. It it all comes from how you feeling. It comes for me, it comes from the heart. I'm sure with even other producers, it comes from the heart. Um, Rather you're gonna go with something upbeat like Zaytoven. If I'm not mistaken, that's an Atlanta producer. A lot of his a lot of his music has a lot of that church sound to it. So he uses a lot of pianos, a lot of chords. And then you have someone like Clams Casino. A lot of his music I like to relate to being ethereal. It has that that openness to the music and almost like a fantasy sound to it. And it's it's like a combination of hip hop roots, usually boom bap roots, which are like the beginning of hip hop. That's what mainly boom bap is. And then you have that ambient sound, which could be somebody like Moby or Solar Fields. And so you create something that could be slow paced, and that can give you room to just to start the song or an artist to start a song to where it can just be very slow paced, or they can pick it up. It really depends on at that point for an artist what cadence they want to do. But if it's say we're just doing this track for a movie, you gotta have a theme. A theme, I like to say, or what I've learned, the theme comes from the message. So you have your theme, and then from there you start to convey how the emotions are gonna come from that beat. And generally you have that idea you usually have that idea before you even go into the DAW and making a beat and making a structure for it. But it definitely has emotions, vibrations. Those vibrations and frequencies make a huge difference on how people act. You have EDM concerts, you have rock concerts, and even some of the hip hop concerts. There's low frequencies and there's high frequencies. When you listen to some of the music, a lot of the what's interesting, what I find very interesting is a lot of the popular music has low frequencies. And so that puts people usually in a riled up mental state. And so that's when you have that whole genre of like rage music. I'm not
Yeah.
saying there's anything wrong with rage music, but too much of it and the consistency of it will alter your mood and your mind, and it'll change you. It really will change you. And then you have ambient music, which people use for meditation, and that could just
Yeah.
be a miramba or a harp, and that's a part of why I like to experiment with my music. I'll start with a rooted sound, which is usually a hip hop, but then I'm like, okay, I have these 808s and these kicks knocking, but let me add some depth to it by pulling in maybe a harp or a synth pad that's kind of airy. And then I may throw in some chords like a electric piano, a 80s piano, a Rhodes piano, or one of my favorites is it the I want to say it's like a oak. I want to say it's oak piano, and the way that that's preset is it's it's echoey piano, and it's almost like it's carved. The sound is carved to where you can hear muffles. It's like it's a piano, but it's a muffled piano. It's almost like a suppressed piano, almost like putting a silencer on a firearm, and you can hear it, but it's
Yeah.
very soft. But you can hear that it's a distinct sound. So it pulls through.
Okay. Well, speaking of instruments,
Mhm.
can you play any instruments?
I'll be honest with you. I haven't taken the time to pick up a guitar or take a piano and just play playing arrangements. Now, when you say play an instrument, are you meaning like pick up pick up a set of drumsticks and just start playing a song or
Yeah, like if you hear a song on the radio
Mhm.
and it has just a hell of a keyboard in the song and you enjoy the song, can you sit down at a keyboard and play that part out? Or, for example, if you hear a song by a rock artist and you really enjoy the drums in that song, could you sit down and play the same pattern as what was in the song?
I'll tell you, I can attempt to play the same pattern. Sometimes it depends on the level of difficulty because there's when it comes to a lot of the music, I'll say half and half. Half and half of the music. Half of it is played through all in one sitting. There aren't any cuts or any breaks from the music. Sometimes there are. Excuse me. So if there is a drum pattern that I can hear and I can remember, then I'll sit there and mimic it. And it really comes through with practicing. So I can play instruments, but not at a high skill level. I'll say that much. I'll say that much. I'm not at an expert skill level at instruments, but I know how to compose music. And I think that's a difference when it comes to you can play an instrument and you can create songs or you can create beats or you can create music. Having both though, oh yeah, you're on a whole nother level because you can do that without really having to put too much thought into it. You see the keys and you know the notes. And so when you're able to play those instruments, you can hear and you can hear and imply the sound that you need to hit or the chords you need to hit or the strings on the fret that you need to hit. So yeah, I'm yeah, yes, kind of sort of. I like to say yes, but not at a high skill level. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, if you can hear the drums in a song and then turn around and sit down and pretty much play the exact same thing you heard, I'd say you can play the drums.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, you can play the drums better than I can because I'm going to sit there and just beat the things till they fall apart. And I'm going to say, there it is. That's art. Never know it could be art. Just
No, yeah.
smashed drum kit, just sitting on a little stage with the light shining straight down on it. And you gotta figure out what that means to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's art. I just created art. That's awesome. Is there a certain album or a certain artist that inspired you to make music at the level you're making music now?
I mentioned him before, Clams Casino. It was around 2011, kind of when SoundCloud was starting to was starting off and almost kind of it was I would say it was known. SoundCloud was known. Um and it really started I'd say maybe a couple years after it really started becoming a lot more popular. But anyway, Clams Casino, uh between Clams Casino, um, Lex Luthor or Lex Luger. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that man's name, but Lex is a producer who made a lot of records for uh if you ever heard 1017 Brick Squad, that's an Atlanta based group or a Georgia based group who had artists like Gucci Mane, OJ the Juice Man, Waka Flocka, uh rest in peace to oh my goodness, what is his name?
there are a few artists. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but
Around like 2010, I'll say 2009. Oh, Travis Porter. That's another group. Um, Travis Porter to about around that time. Yeah, 2009, 2010 to about like 2013. Lex was one of those known producers, and he really brought forward like the sound of hi-hats, rolls, the rolls of hi-hats, um, the 808 and kick patterns, heavily using those 808s. You can hear it all through those artists that I've named. Going back to Clams Casino, because Clams Casino, again, for me, he blended boom bap, lo-fi, and ambient music, and a little bit of like choir too. But he had this sound that really became a staple for artists like ASAP Rocky. And around that time, 2010, that's when ASAP Rocky started to become more known. I remember the first album I heard was Live Love ASAP. And I just found that off of YouTube because I was listening to Clamps Casino and I was like, man, these beats are too cool. I would find myself freestyling to them. I've had a couple friends. I'd be like, hey, yo, listen to this song. They're like, oh yeah, this is hard. Like, yeah. I'm gonna start spinning to him. Like when I freestyle, when I finish, you should try it, bro. Jump in and sooner or later we start freestyling. And I was like, wow, this is the type of beat that I like, that I just like to listen to, or that I like to just sit down and just gaze, just daydream, or just sit down and relax to, because they're usually slow tempo, probably like no higher than like a 120 beat per minute, BPM type deal. So a lot of it was pretty chill, and it was very contrasted because you had those airy sounds, those how do I say it? I guess the way that I would visualize it would be like the the ground or rocks, the cracked earth,
Yeah.
along with clouds in the sky, or the fog coming down from the sky. So it kind of give you kind of like that vast imagination type of sound. I'm trying to figure out the best way I could put it. I think that's really one of the best ways I could put it, but it's almost like if you could astral project to some music, Clams Casino is the type of music where you have an out of body experience and really just enjoy that type of music. So, um, Clams Casino is definitely one of those guys. He worked with a lot of SoundCloud artists or upcoming artists, underground artists, a lot of underground artists. I think ASAP Rocky might be the one underground artist turned mainstream that he really works with, still works with. And there's another artist, Samuel T. Herring. He's another artist that he works with, but definitely Clams Casino, um, Lex, Lex Luthor, and hmm, I really say mainly those two. I like listening to Pharrell Williams. Always loved his music. Timbaland, because I grew up with those listen to their music, but who really pushed me to make music would definitely have to be Clarence Casino. I have to say that's probably my number one because he's influenced a lot of my older music, and he's influenced a lot of my current music. It's still to this day. I mean, I just finished a beat that has that sound to it, that yeah, ambient hip hop sound to it. Love it.
Do you think he would enjoy your work?
Man, that's a really good question. Um, yeah, I think so. And I think he would notice the sound because it does have some roots from what he makes. Again,
a lot of that sound that I make is influenced and inspired by him.
I do think he would. That'd be so awesome. That'd be awesome. Have him, hey man, just have a quick little listening party or just play, beat for beat. And I've done that before, with nobody mainstream or very popular, but I've done it before. But Clamps Casino to like
One of my beats. If you see this Clamps Casino and you hear my beats and you like them, I just want to thank you.
and even if you don't, I just want to thank you for listening to my beats. Most definitely.
Well, have you reached out and asked?
I actually have it. It hasn't came to my mind to do that. I haven't honestly, I don't think I've reached out to any other producers to listen to my beats. I would usually reach out to artists, but I think
Now that we've triggered that that thought, I think that's something I'll have to do. I'll definitely have to take advantage of do that.
Well, I think if you got, excuse me, other producers that you enjoy their music, you enjoy, and they inspire you even today, why not just reach out and say, hey, I appreciate what you do. I love your work. You inspired me. Um, not be pushy about it, but
right.
just kind of reach out as a fan more than a producer. But at the same time, say, you know what, this song that you did or this beat that you did inspired me to create this, and just send them a link. They might listen to it, they might not, but you know what? You've reached out.
Yes.
You you've made effort. And you never know. One of them might pick it up 1, 2, 3 or 4 days later after you send it and say, "You know what? This is kinda cool. I
Oh,
like the fact that this guy reached out."
yes, definitely. I want to add one more artist. I would be wrong if I didn't mention him. Songo. It's his name is spelled Sango, and if I'm not mistaken, that might be the derivative of a character from an anime called Inuyasha. Anyway, Songo is definitely another person because he he's I wouldn't really put him right next to Clam's Casino as far as sound, but I feel like they're in that same realm because Songo does a lot more kind of like he does more upbeat music. He does more upbeat beats. He'll do samples, vocal samples. Um, he'll do vocal samples from like I want to say they're Portuguese vocal samples. He has a couple of projects, Darosina and Darosina 2. Darosina 2 and goodness, what is that one called? So Darosina has a lot of those samples from like Brazilian samples and samples from like 90 or like late like mid to late 80s R&B and early 90s R&B, and it's amazing how he does it, how he samples, how he down samples, how he chops, and just how he pulls the vocals from those songs and puts it into a upbeat hip hop R&B beat, and it just sounds so beautiful. And with him, his music, I started listening to like 2012 to like 2014. I want to say like 2012, 2013 when I really started listening to his music. And he definitely broadened my sound. That's it. That's definitely another artist I want to reach out to. I have to reach out to because he's made a very huge impact on the music that I make. I want to say that other album he has is called North. Um, yep, it's called North. That album, I want to say that was his album. It came out in 2013. Summer 2013. That's when it came out. Um, and man, like that was his album. I think that was his staple album that really got people to listen to his music. And he did a sample from Anne Marie. Um, I want to say it's One Thing. I want to say that's the name of the song. You listen to that song. I mean, it's a beautiful song from the beat to her vocals, but then when you listen to what he did with it, it's just like tenfold. It's like you just made a whole other sound, and it still sounds just as good, if not better. You know, another artist he had was Jameson. Is JMSN. Songo and JMSN are like, I feel like they're one of those dynamic duos that when they come together and they make music, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful. And that's a singer, by the way, a vocalist. Um,
Well, if if they inspire you
mhm,
to make a beat, a certain beat, you listen to their music over and over and over, and
mhm,
then you come up with a beat specifically off listening to them. Who's the first person that hears that beat when it's complete? If you don't have a certain person in mind, why don't you send it to them and see what they think?
mhm.
You might get feedback, you might not, but at least you could tell yourself, you know what? I'm proud of this and it's out there.
Imma keep that in mind. I definitely think that's something that can help. I never think about it too, even though I'm influenced by these people, and I don't think I wouldn't say it's a fear thing, but it's just maybe something that just loses through my train of thought when I make the song. It's just like, okay, this beat is hard. And it's like, yeah, this kind of sounds like something from the North album, or and then I feel like it's almost, I feel like it's actually, I wouldn't say, maybe it is a little bit of the fear. It's like, okay, I'm influenced by this artist and I made it sound similar to them, but I don't want them to and I will never know until I try, but I don't want to send it to them and then be like, "Yo, you copy my sound," and then, where's the originality? But I feel like and the more that I think about it, that's a part of what art is, because again, he samples music. He does samples from other artists, so, you know, it's kind of like that fine line when it comes to that. So,
Well, how many times, excuse me, a day do
mhm,
these artists get messages that say, "Oh, you inspire me. Oh, you inspire this song inspired me," or "Oh, I felt this song." But how many times a day did they get a message that says, "This song inspired me to create this"?
mhm,
And they're given a sample of either the visual art or the beat or whatever possible photograph they inspired. They're given a sample of that inspiration. I think me, if I was talented enough to have that kind of following and I saw a message from somebody that was very direct, this song inspired me to do this. And I see a short or I see a photo or I see a drawing, that's going to stick in my head. Where just seeing words, you, you know, thank you for this, love this song, whatever, whatever, you're going to scroll past all that.
yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, that's just me. I think, if you don't have someone specifically in mind when you create a beat and you're finished with it to listen to it,
Yeah.
why not let the person that inspired you listen to it? Or at least give them the option.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And to be honest, I think that's something I'm actually gonna do today. I do have a person uh that I actually do, and I say like 9 times out of 10, if I know I'm gonna meet up with this person, and even if I don't, I try to give him a call and be like, "Hey man, let's listen to this." But I think that's actually an important thing to do, is be able to reach out to your inspirations or your influencers and show them what you did.
allowed me to have the confidence to make something that I felt was a representation, not only of what I like to do, but what you did. It's something that fueled me. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that in mind. I'm gonna apply that. I'll definitely apply that. I appreciate you telling me that too. For real. Because you
All
never
right.
know. They might make a bridge, bridge a
Hey,
gap.
hey, you never know. You never know unless you try, right?
Amen.
Are you a better photographer or producer?
Question. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, huh. I like to say I'm a better photographer. Um, because when it comes to a visual or a vision, I like to say when I photograph something, I usually use it in its rawest form and publish it in its rawest form. And most of the editing may come from just a simple crop with while like in camera. And what I mean in camera, like that's during the photo shoot. Usually when I photograph, I like to I've learned that it's good to have more negative space than to have a close prop. For
Right.
instance, like how we are right now, this really wouldn't give me my frame wouldn't really give me a lot to work with if I'm trying to, make a photograph. Rather it be for a profile because you have to work on re-imaging or not re-imaging, but resizing an image to use for maybe you're gonna use it for your LinkedIn profile, maybe you're gonna use it for Facebook, or it's gonna go on a billboard, so to speak. So this is a lot better. So whenever I'm shooting, I tend to leave more space. Excuse me. I tend to leave more space around because it gives me more options to work with. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when it comes to photography, man, it's a matter of a lot of it is if you can prep time like that, man, then oh yeah, it's gonna come out golden. Well, a lot of times with photography, it's really in the moment. Um, a lot of my images, I feel like a lot of my greatest images are candids. And so whenever I'm photographing a person and I'm trying to get a certain emotion, I usually talk to them. I'm usually having a like conversation we're having right now. I mean, you having a conversation like we're having right now, and um, I may change the topic from something that's currently happening, or I may ask them about a memory they may have had. Um, and that ends up bringing that emotion out. Now, of course, there's always a direction to photography when it comes to portraiture because you obviously want to convey a certain message or emotion. Um, like I said, some of my golden photos are canvas. I love to laugh. I laugh through pain, and I just love to laugh generally. So whenever I'm photographing, I tend to find a way to make somebody laugh, and they may have a gummy smile, you know what I mean? Like, they all them guns showing, they smiling.
Yeah.
I'm shooting the images, like, on a high shutter speed, meaning it's gonna take multiple images. So
Yeah.
I'm getting multiple frames, so it may go from a gummy smile to a smile that doesn't have a lot of gums, but it's capturing that emotion, and it's a natural emotion. Like, it's it's almost it's almost like a natural way to make them smile or laugh. Of course, there's a point where I may say, "Hey, uh, do a smile showing your teeth, or do a cheesy smile, or relax your face. Smile but relax. Have a relaxed smile." And so it's really like directing people when it comes to photography. But I feel like I can I can pick up a camera, and if I have the theme or the idea that I want the person to show, then all I have to do is talk to them.
And believe it or not, sometimes I have a hard time talking to people on a regular. But when it comes to my art, I feel like that passion flows through. And so that's when my speech just starts flowing and I'm able to just communicate with them a lot better, which is why I choose photography to communicate with people. Yes, there's still images, but what do they say? Pictures worth 1,000 words.
Right. Right. I just had this thought in my head. Have the camera set up to where it takes multiple pictures really, really fast.
Mm-hmm. Right,
But
right.
right when you explain to your model or whoever you're shooting,
Mhm.
this is what I would like you to do. Go ahead and just give me that real big smile that shows your teeth, close your eyes like you're laughing. And before you finish saying that, just hit the button
Mm-hmm.
and just let it snap all the way through their pose. And then pick the best one,
Oh yeah.
all the pictures. But when you display the photo,
Mhm.
display all the ones you chose not to use. Kind of give a timeline
Yeah, almost like a stop motion timeline of
and
the whole.
highlight
Yeah.
the one that this is the photo that I really like. So
That's
you're
a
catching
cool concept.
the actual pose,
Yeah.
but you're getting all the candid before and after,
Yeah.
which is what you like.
Yeah, the process of it all. Yeah,
Right.
that's actually yeah, that's a pretty good concept. I've done something similar to it before to where let me tell you this, when you photograph, you usually shoot like I'll say, let's just say from 500 to 1,000 images, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And yeah, you know what I'm saying? When especially when you have that shutter speed just at a high, so you it's going through. And it's interesting because throughout that whole thing, you're gonna have underexposed images,
yeah.
overexposed images. You may have some blurry images in there, but as you get through, you'll kind of see how it peaks or how it just grows. It's usually a mountain or it's usually like a whole like elevation thing when it comes to it. It's yeah, that's a cool concept though.
Which one do you enjoy more? Photography or producing beats?
I don't know, man. You put me in the hard place, man. It's like tug of war. Like again, because like I started them like around the same time. Like I'll tell you this much. I feel like over the past few years, I've been more in the music than I have with the photography. When I noticed that though, I have to step away from the music and, sharpen the skills because I know my quality of images are good. And you can call it ego or arrogance, but that's word of mouth. That's a vox populi. That's from the voice of the people. They will tell you, hey man, like, oh man, those pictures are hard, those pictures are crisp, or those are real good. Like, wow, you took that. And I'm like, yeah, man. And so it's like uh it's it's hard. It's kind of difficult. I almost feel like, oh man, I don't know, man, because like the thing is I feel like I'm better with photography because the way that I photograph, I don't have to put a lot of thought process into it. If I'm just shooting raw natural light photos, there's not a lot of process of thinking I have to do to it versus studio photography, which is a completely different ballpark. Same topic, different ballpark. Um, because when it comes to studio photography, you have light modifiers. Like this guy I'm using to bounce this light. You see my face? A reflector. This is a reflector. This is something that's very key and something that you need to learn how to use, even when you're out on the scene, because you may be shooting against the light and you're gonna have that huge cast of shadow. You got them light from modifier like this, or even just a big piece of white poster board. That's gonna help you out a lot. But back to what the main question, man. I don't know. I don't know. I
Okay,
really
well, what about this? Each photo has some sort of emotion, right?
yes,
Each beat has some sort of emotion.
yes.
Have you ever thought about posting your photos on Instagram, YouTube, whatever?
Yeah.
Just post the photo, but also post the beat that that photo created.
Oh yeah, that's and you know what?
I create my album art. I create it. So a lot of the times, and that's it's crazy. I always keep music and photography together. Whether it's me,
Like me making the music or an artist that I like to listen to. Every time I have a photo shoot,
I always got music playing. Whether it's on the speaker or it's in my headphones. So it's it's automatic that I'm having the two go together. It really is. Um, Especially with the way that media is now, like the way that I show my music, display my music when it comes to Instagram, I'll say 9.5 times out of 10, I have an image that's there. I create an image for for the beat instead of creating a beat for the image. And when it comes to the music side of it,
you start with that emotion, that vibe, whatever that vibration is, and then I'll go into whether it's Photoshop or I'll photograph something, then I may take it in and edit it, or I might just leave it raw. But I usually, I naturally do that. I naturally do that. I'll have a photo and have a beat. Sometimes I already have a beat that's just there. Like for instance, when I went to Rio Doso last Christmas, we were in the mountains, and so I was able to capture some beautiful images of stars, and I love stargazing. Moving down here in Texas and kind of out to the outskirts, going out to like the outskirts of Texas, out of the city to like the more rural areas, you're able to stargaze. And I remember when I was in Ruidoso taking those long exposure pictures to capture the stars. Um, at a moment, I didn't have any music playing because it was quiet. We're up in the mountains. You hear the wind, just the ambiance of nature and city, and that alone is music. That alone to me is music. That's nature's music. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so sometimes you just gotta live in that moment without anything coming through.
but as I'm doing that, I'm like, oh man, let me get this song. Like I have a song called Only One, and that's on my that's on my my summer beat tape that I released. That's the first track. And to tie that into inspirations influences, Songo was like one of the influences from that beat. And that beat is a very relaxing beat. And so as I'm photographing, that's a song that I'm playing. In fact, when I posted that photo on my photography page, I end up putting that image there with that song because it feels right. That's how that beat comes together with it. There's a couple other songs I have too, but yeah, man, that's actually something that I've done. I will just take some of the photos. I won't even create a whole digital thing with filters and all that. I'll just take a raw image like that stargazing photo and boom, that's the cover art for that track or maybe even for a song.
Do you have a separate page of nothing but your photos?
Correct, correct. I feel like
Right.
that was a very important thing to do.
Where where can people find that?
Um, I'm usually posting on Instagram, but if you just Google search, and I'm gonna spell this for you. It's pronounced S3 visuals, but it's spelled SIII, Roman number three, in the word visuals. So SIII visuals. You can search that on Google. The main place you're gonna find it though is going to be on Instagram, and that's SIIIVISUALS. S3 visuals.
Okay. All right. Um, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
How often do you work on music?
Every day, man. I do it every day. I uh I wake up sometimes at the start of the day, I'll wake up and unfortunately go straight to my computer or go to my phone and look up the song that I uploaded to SoundCloud or my Google Drive, and I'll just listen to it. A lot of times when it comes to music and working on music, um, I find myself just listening to the songs over and over and over and over, just so I can hear what needs to be changed, or if I feel like it's that song, then or it's at where it should be, I'll just sit there and listen to it. Recently, because I've learned newer techniques to refine some of these older beats that I've made, I go back to those beats from when I first started using GarageBand, and those are some beats like I think the earliest goes to like maybe 2019, maybe even 2018. So like five to like 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Um, that's when I'll go back to some of those beats and be like, okay, I see what I was doing here, but if I just, add a plug in here or just sometimes I'll just delete a whole track and just do a completely different percussion line, and it's like, boom, okay. And it may take me 10 minutes. It could take me 5 minutes to an hour to make a beat. Sometimes I'll make a beat or start a beat and I get to I guess so either it's either a roadblock or it's just a point where I need to take a break because I've been doing it all damn day. And it's like, okay, bro, take a breather. Plus, you don't need to be looking at the screen more than like, I don't know, an hour or two, like that close, because the retinas and all of that. And I mean, I work on music just about every day. At least, I don't even say at least once. I say at least twice. I'll say at least twice. And twice because I'm either revisiting to listen to a beat that I've already made, or I'm starting from scratch, or just revising a beat. It's a habitual thing. It became a habitual thing.
Do you have any unfinished music?
Hmm. Yes, in fact, on my Instagram, I posted I posted a song or a snippet of a song that I made a hook for, and I just haven't wrote the verse yet. I'm contemplating if I want to leave it as an open verse or just do the song myself. And to be honest, I think I'm at a point where I might just make the song and end up making a remix so I can have somebody join me on the song because I feel like it's there. Um, there are a couple of other tracks too. I just got a track from spoiler alert, Admonish Music. I just got a track from him. I got a track from Dope Culture or Dope Culture 222. Um, I got a few tracks from Dope Culture. But me and Dope Culture are locked in. We are locked in. I mean, from music to outside of music, we're locked in. but we're building up a catalog as we speak. We're building up a catalog. He has my personal phone number. That's how locked in we are. And
Okay.
he's sending me uh music that he's produced and performed and may want me to listen to or mix. And then he sends me songs that I've produced as far as the beat and he's performed and has me it's a learning experience because there are things as far as the whole recording, the recording artist and beat that I'm working on as far like a full song versus just a beat that I have problems with that I'm still learning and I'm learning through him because he can do it all. He is learning to make beats more, but he can find the beat and he can record himself, he can mix, and he does it well. And I'll tell him a lot. I'm like, hey man, I think what you got going on is good. I can play with the track and see what I can do. And I'll love to do that because I want to learn because the way that you record yourself and you have yourself on the beat, you're not fighting the beat, you're not overpowering the beat. Your voice is intact and is good. It's quality. It's studio quality music. So yes, there are some unfinished songs and unfinished beats for sure. I have plenty of unfinished beats from years ago that I end up going back and like, oh, this is all I needed to do. But again, yeah, I do have a quite a few unfinished songs. I just want a quick shout out to Dope Culture because he's definitely helping me improve on my craft and um I'm very appreciative of it. I'm getting better too, so shout out to my man.
How did you hook up with both those guys?
Mm, good segue into venue music. I know you might not be able to see it too well, but this is an exclusive, I don't want to say it's a limited edition venue music merch. Okay. Venue music. So let me take a little time and that's okay. Um, I got introduced to dope culture and modest music through venue music. I got introduced to venue music through Gabriel, and I got introduced to Gabriel. Oh, maybe like maybe like a couple years ago. Nah, maybe even a few. I want to say it was a few years ago. Um, I had started doing this program, this mentorship with a producer named Dream OTB or Dream on the Beat. And shout out to him because he's helped me understand ways to market to producers and artists and how to create beats, how to structure beats, and the sound kits. He has some ooh, to this day I use his sound kits. To this day. Um but it was called I want to say it was called Saucy Tribe, SAWCE, like sauce, not sauce, but sauce. You know, cause it's got that sauce to it, you know, got that flavor for your head,
Got, got
like
that
Fame Mac. But
got that
yeah,
Texas draw.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, sauce, you know, that's that southern right there. That's from
Got to
the
open your mouth when you say it. Sauce.
yeah, sauce. And I feel like you gotta know that that's from the South because that's just kind of how people from the South talk. They got that extra twang to it. But yeah, shout out to Dream OTB. He had a mentorship program where it was mainly producers, but there were artists as well. But it was mainly for producers to learn um how to make beats, how to market them, and how to learn how to make a living off of them. Now, I met Gabriel through that group because he also is, and I'll say is, may have been some time that he's produced beats and music, but he also is a music producer, and Gabriel is one of the head admin of Venue Music. Shout out to Gabriel because it was about a year, maybe less than a year, probably like the beginning of this year, if not the end of last year, the beginning of this year. I kept seeing an ad about music and about music promo, and I kept seeing it, and I was like, "Huh, okay, this is cool." The thing about Venue Music, all of what they do is just off off the music. It's for the passion of the music. They don't charge you. They don't charge you to promote your music. Of course, you're gonna want to do it yourself, but they're like that wind or that gust of wind to your flame to make your flame grow. And I'm highly appreciative of them because if it wasn't for Dream, I wouldn't have met Gabe. If it wasn't from Gabe, I wouldn't have met the Venue Collective. If it wasn't from Venue, I wouldn't have met Admonish and No Culture. So it's like full circle because even at that time, like right when Gabe hit me up and DM'd me, he was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" It's me. I used to go by, if I'm not mistaken, he used to go by the Spaceman Split. I want to say that's what he went by. But he DM'd me and I never seen him before. I don't remember, actually I may have, but I don't remember seeing him because we used to do video calls back in that the Salsa Tribe. We used to do video calls, you know, update on what we're doing, how's it going, show each other our beats. And so fast forward to beginning of this year, Gabe hit me up and he was like, "Hey, what's up, man? Um, it's me. We used to be in that producer group." And I was like, "Oh shit, for real?" And then, we started jogging the memories back. Ooh, excuse me. That's good beer. Uh, and those memories came back. Yeah, and the memories came back, and it was like, you know what I'm saying? Mm, I got to catch up to you. I'm still on my first one. But anyway, Gabe inboxed me, DM me on Instagram, said, "Hey man, we have this group loving your music. You promote your music. You're able to connect with other artists and producers, and it's all organic." And I said, "You know what, man? I'm gonna do it." And at that time, I was really like, I was at a point where I was just like thinking about taking a long break from this music stuff and refocus on other things. It's because at the point of I was in life, and I'm still going through some of those things, but I feel like Gabe, I don't know, maybe it's the grace of God because I am a believer and I'm getting closer to God, but maybe it was him sending him my way to let me know you are very passionate about this and it's something that you use as a release. And Gabe was there. Gabe DM me, introduced me to Venue, and ever since then, I've been talking to other artists and producers and working with them. Um, Gabe, I appreciate you so much, man, for reaching out to me because you lit that fire. You fanned that flame that I had going on. And I mean fanning the flame in a positive way to keep the flame burning. Um, and that's when I ended up meeting Michael. And I don't know if I should throw out his alias out there, but
You can,
Michael,
you can,
what's that?
you can.
Okay, Michael, aka Darth Martin.
Right.
Um, he he's he's a one man band. That dude is amazing. He's
Yeah, I actually was introduced to venue music
Mhm.
after or while doing an interview with Darth Martin. And
Mm.
I was very impressed before the interview with what I found out about him. And like you say, he's a one man band. And then after the interview, I just went down the rabbit hole
Mhm.
and he introduced me to the venue community. And he has steered me into talking with the community and the artists in the community. And I really, every time I interview an artist from venue, I learn more about the community and I feel a stronger draw towards the community
Heck yeah.
because it is so inclusive and so helpful. And I've been involved in some of the threads that people have put out there and watched the back and forth. And it's not, oh, you suck or that beat sucks or you shouldn't have done this or that's awful. It's more like, you know what, I like that, but
Yeah, it's a
it,
constructive
it,
criticism
it's
thing.
constructive. Or somebody says, you know what, you need to run with that because that right there, don't change it. I love it the way it is. Or somebody puts a beat out there and said, someone else jumps in and says, hey man, I won't own that. I won't
Mhm.
own that. And it's just
Yeah.
to sit there and watch it all happen on my phone and in real time and just watch people hook up and then the work that comes the following day. It's really unique and I really enjoy it. So, do you
We
think having community is beneficial to a producer?
Yes, it is because
it's strength in numbers. Birds of a feather flock together. Um, another idiom or saying that I always keep in mind when it comes to growth is they say it's who you know, not necessarily what you know. And it could be the other way around, but I I definitely believe is who you know because you could be at a high skill level and not know certain people, and there's a person at a lower skill level than you, and they know people, and you have avenues as opposed to just having that one straight road. You know, you got that interstate that's gonna take you everywhere. But when you got this highway, you got that avenue, you got that street, you got the interstate, you know, you're able to go down these different ways and connect with people through different ways. And as a producer, again, the sauce tribe, that was a whole community right there in its own of producers. And I thought that was I think that was an eye-opening experience and one of the coolest things I was able to be involved with as far as music because, yeah, everybody's like that whole community, we're all trying to achieve the same a similar goal, as far as a bigger picture, we're all trying to achieve a similar goal, but we're all in there to learn. And I feel like that's another thing, a part of community. People build communities because people have different strengths that complement their weaknesses. And so you're able to learn and you're able to teach. But I feel like it's very important to have an open ear to learn things because there are artists that I have worked with in both communities, Sauce Tribe and in Venue, that do not want to hear what they're doing could be better. Not necessarily that it's wrong, but that it could be an improved. And when it comes to any type of community, but I feel like especially art and music, people can become passionate. And when people become passionate, they let their emotions overthrow the logic side of it. It's always that battle between your emotions, and then your thoughts, your heart and your brain. It's always going to be that battle between that. But with this community, it's it's like genuine. Like unless people are like really directly saying something disrespectful, which is a rare thing. I think it's pretty rare. It'll be times within a community where people just don't see eye to eye, and it's like, you know, blah blah blah. I don't like this. I don't like the way you're doing that. Yo, chill the f out, or they just say something out of pocket, and that's a part of the community. That's a part of the love hate relationship. It's a part of any relationship, any community. But as a whole, when that part comes up, it's like, hey, yo, look, if you got an issue, you can address it, but there's a better way, a positive way to address that issue. So having a community and having different people with like minds, I feel like is a great thing. And we'll go back to a producer being in the community, rather with producers or other producers or recording artists. I feel like it's very important because again, you can learn a lot from that. You can learn that your sound can expand. You have your staple sound, your rooted sound, but by working with other artists, and I mean artists as producers and recording artists, because artist is a vague term. When you're working with other artists, you can learn a lot about yourself that you can improve, and you can learn a lot about other people too. And there's things that you see in yourself and other people, so that really draws you back. It's almost like a reflection thing, and yeah, it's important. I feel like it's really important because you can't do this on your own. I don't care how many people say, people will say the term they got it out the mud, but there are points where you're doing it on your own. But to truly elevate yourself, you got to work with people, and you learn that you gotta work with people. It may not be for the whole entire journey. It may be for a section of that journey, not to call people pedestals or anything, but stepping stones. Let's just say that they're stepping stones. These people become stepping stones and it helps you get to that spot. But I really think it's important. And that's why I'm shouting out these people because they have helped me reach different levels I wouldn't have reached if they weren't here, if they weren't introduced, if we weren't introduced. So yes, community is important. It takes a village to raise one person, and then that one person reflect back into the village. And hey, I'm up here. Let me bring y'all with me. So
Right.
it's important. It's very important.
What do you want from your music?
Um, I want to continue to be able to express myself. My music is one of my releases and one of my outlets on how I communicate. Because as I said before, I mean, I haven't been checked by a professional, but I know I have communication issues. I have, people have childhood trauma, uh, things that they're learning to let go of or learning to unlearn and relearn, learning how to, excuse me, learning how to get through those things. Music for me, the main thing music has been for me is an outlet to express myself. Um, so as long as I'm able to create music and be able to publish it and put it out there, that's one of the main things. But another thing that fuels that is when yes, numbers are an important thing, but sometimes they aren't. But they can show that people from all around the world people from all around the world take the time to listen to what you created. So that connection with people, I use music as one of my bridges to connect to other lands meaning other people. So almost like it's really another way to speak to people. So that's another reason why what I like about music and what I want from it is to be able to connect with people. That's one of those main things. Of course, it's a connection for myself, but it's an extension of me that I want people to be able to connect with. And whether they hate it or love it, they took the time to discover something new, something different that I made. And I really feel like that's one of those important things about music that I'm always gonna keep, that I'm always gonna do, and I'm always gonna make music for that reason. Um, and it was last year, I I last year I would release a lot of music. I kind of changed it. I haven't been releasing a lot of music on SoundCloud, and I have ample music to do it, so I'm gonna start doing that and rolling it out, but I'm trying to do it methodically so it's not like oversaturated. But at the same time, when I did it that way, I had I had a lot of people listening to my music. I mean, I had people that not even in the United States listen to my music. For instance, I know I'm looking now if that's because I was scrolling on my phone, and I wanted to show this because I don't I don't know what country this is in, but if you can see, you probably can't see it that well.
No.
Nah, you can't. But I'm gonna spell it out. Hanoi. It's probably one person, could be a couple of people. The flag is a red flag with a yellow star in the middle. So I'm thinking that might be over there in Asia. Somebody over there in Hanoi, and another person or people in Ho Chi Minh City. If I'm saying that right, sorry if I butchered it. 12 plays, 24 plays. It's a small number, but somebody played my music that amount of times. I've never met, and I've never been to that place. But somebody took the time to listen to my music and they played it that many times. And it's, I just find it amazing. I mean, it's Korea, somebody in Korea, uh, it looks like somebody like all in like there's numerous flags in Asia. There's flags in South America. There's some flags in Africa. There's some flags in Europe, like Birmingham over there in Europe. People over there. Um, and yeah, there's the Brazilian flag. So I mean, it's that right there. That's another thing that keeps me making music and fuels me to want more from it because I'm reaching people with this. Um, it may get to a point to where I do a boiler room set where I'm just playing my beats. A boiler room set's when a DJ, usually it's a DJ or a producer who DJs. One person, Kai Trinada, Kaytranada. Excuse me. He does boiler room sets. And basically he has his DJ set up. He goes to kind of like an underground club where people go to and they listen to his music that he mixes. Goes around the world doing that. Goes around the US and around the world doing that. So it'll get to a point to where I'm gonna end up doing that. But to know that there's people all across this world that listen to my music, even if it's just one play, they took a time to listen to a song or a beat that I made. And it's like, yo, I'm actually reaching different corners of the world. And that's a part of that connection part. Why what I want from music is that connection. I'm able to connect with these people just off beats. I'm not even speaking on most of my songs or my beats. I'm not even saying words. I'm making sounds and releasing vibrations. So at some point these people like that and it brings that feeling to me that like I should keep going. I should keep doing this, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, you spoke about trauma earlier.
Mhm.
Would you say making music heals you?
Yeah, most definitely. That goes back to where I keep saying vibrations and frequencies. Um, it does heal me. It is a way that I release. rather it's something I'm dealing with or rather it's somebody coming to me to talk. As I said earlier in this interview, I'm an approachable person. I have a gravitational pull for people, and whether it's the physical or online, I had somebody that I did not talk to, or I rarely talk to. We have common interests, but we rarely talk to. She reached out to me, and she was going through a loss of 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 her child, and um, you know, they reached out to me. We had a long conversation, like we known each other for years, and we ended it on a good note. And I took that whole conversation that we had, and I sat with it, and I'm like, wow, that's a part of life, man. And my passion for music really comes from some of those conversations from people, and I'm able to relate to those people. And that's another thing about the connectivity with music is you're able to relate with people. And I pour my emotions through my music. I started to make songs recently, and you can hear that some of that emotion going through the music. But a lot of the beats that I make too, um, I'll sometimes I'll go through a period of time, maybe a week, a couple weeks, where I'm just making strictly one type of sound. It might be what I like to call a blue period, which I feel like a lot of my songs and beats that get a lot of attention come from some of those like maybe in the realm of melancholy or like that blue I like to call it a blue period. I'm working on a project called Blue Tones, which has a lot of sounds and tempos that are relative to like maybe like sadness or um maybe even stress. But when I'm making those songs, it's like I'm pulling emotions from stuff that I went through, things that I'm currently going through, and you can really hear it is and I can hear it myself, but people can really hear it because again, like I said, I have a friend that my friend Hakima, shout out to him because he's an artist. He doesn't record as much, but he's made a few songs. But he's probably like the first person that I shared my music with. And that's because he made music. He likes some of my beats, and I'm trying to get him together with me so we can make some music because we got there's so many beats. I've showed this dude. He's like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Hey man, I made this like 2 years ago. I just remixed it." And it's like, "Bro, this is hard. I need that." So that's one of those things, that it kind of builds that rapport. But uh, yeah, that those a lot of those beats come from that place of emotion, those dark places that are within, and it's again, music is definitely one of those outlets for me that I use to release some of that stress through. If it's not the fitness or photography, it's music. And sometimes it might be all three, but music, I feel like I'm able to really speak through my music, and it helps a lot. It helps a whole lot, man. So much. I'm thankful for even having the chance to do it and getting the ability to do it, and for people to tell me, "Yo, that beat is hard, that music is good." Yeah, 10 seconds or 15 seconds into a beat, and it barely dropped, and you already like it. It's like, dang, and it's like, yeah, man, I made that. I was going through something, man, and so it's pretty awesome to know that people can feel my music even without knowing I was going through something at the time when I made that song or that beat.
You say you work on music every day, at least once, sometimes twice.
Mhm.
Where do you see yourself in music in the next 5 years?
Oh man, I won't be in Texas, and if I am, I'll probably be visiting Texas. Probably like the probably like yeah, probably visiting stages. But I see myself actually going to excuse me, I see myself working with continue to work with some of these artists that are in venue and even more developed artists. Um 5 years, I would love to see myself having more music in another movie because I've had a beat that me and another producer when I first started making music, on my phone, uh, Jeff, they spell like Joffrey, but Geoff. Me and that guy on our phones, separate phones. He I think was in where was he at? I think he was in Virginia. I want to say he was in Virginia, and I was in North Carolina. Never met the dude in my life. Never have. But somehow, some way, he found my music. I found his music. We started collabing. We made a track. 4 years later, I was going to our institute. My friend Vieira, who is into film, she's a film director. She made a short film with a few other students for a movie called The Cure, and she was like, "Hey, I know you do music. Can you sing me some beats?" And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah! You want to have my song in your project, and it's gonna film? What?" So I said, "You know what? Let me do that." So I ended up singing her song that we made, and it was in one of the intro scenes. It was in a scene. It was in a scene where to break this film down, it's called The Cure. The disease was coming from smoking cigarettes, but the cure, get this, the cure is THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. But what I like to say, THC is the healing component. And when I saw that movie and heard the song in there, it was just like, yo, it's kind of full circle because I from time to time I'll partake in that activity, but that song was in a scene where it was just straight like madness, chaos. People running around the city because it's like, oh no, the infections are spreading and everything. And so it was just like, dang, I was able to put this song into another art form, and I was able to have that go through that way. And I mean, it was just cool. But yeah, man, it's
Okay. Well, we're kind of up against clock here, and
yes.
I've really enjoyed this interview. And I'm gonna get you back very soon because I have so many more questions that I'm going to ask you. But my final question for this interview is, what are two questions you've never been asked in an interview? And what are the answers to those questions?
Um,
I
why are
got
you so called?
I got the first one.
No,
And this is a normal question that I ask. How are you doing?
uh, I am. I'm like First off, I appreciate you asking that question because not a lot of times people ask that question and went a whole thorough answer to it. But I'm kind of in a whole place right now. Um, I am okay because I am alive and I can walk and I can breathe and I can still do things I like to do. Um, I am in a mental space where I am trying to get get out there and really establish myself so I can thrive in what I like to do. Because I am in a space where, yes, I'm able to do certain things, but I'm not able to thrive the way I need to, the way I know I will when I get to that point. But I'm in that process of doing it, and I'm going through the whole process. I think it's super religious, but I'm going through the process of being closer to God and learning more about myself and learning that the answers are already within. And this is where a lot of those answers are. And discipline is like the hugest thing. I keep seeing it everywhere. And maybe it's an algorithm thing, but I'm learning. I'm learning discipline. Whenever I feel like I need to do something that's an instant that gratification thing or something to feed my dopamine that I know isn't helping me, uh, I'm learning that this is a short term feeling that's not gonna help me grow. It's gonna hold me back, and it is one of the main reasons why I'm in that place that I'm in right now. But as I'm going through that journey, it's as I've been going through that journey, even before I've been this close with God, I've been getting signs. I swear I'm getting signs because the people that come into my life, whether they come to me with their problems or with suggestions, um, and it ends off with learning something positive or negative. I try to take away both, but I try to find a positive in everything. Um, I'm doing okay. I can do a lot better. I know that's for sure. I have to be more disciplined and apply myself. More disciplined and apply myself. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm all right though. I'm all right though. I'll live. I just I have to keep on this path that I'm going. The path that I'm going. Just keep on.
Okay. All right. Well, where can people find out more about you? What are your social media handles
Socials.
for both music and photography?
So I love saying this. You can go to Google and type in LeVan the Man. That's capital LE, capital VAN. The man is THEMAN. You can Google that name and you for sure are gonna see this beautiful face here. And you may see some of my cover art. You'll see my links to my music through mainly through Instagram. And you may see some a little bit on Twitter, um, TikTok, on YouTube. I usually try to keep my handles as one word, LeVan the Man underscore or LeVan the Man. So you should be able to find me with LeVan the Man underscore or LeVan the Man. That's for the music. For the photography, excuse me, it's going to be S3 visuals. It's Roman numeral 3. So SIII space VISUALS. That's S3 visuals. Again, you can go to Google and type that in, and you're going to see my photography appear. You may see you may see the two intertwined because from time to time I'll tag myself in whatever work I create for the visuals, which are applied with the music. Again, you can find those. You can find those everywhere. Um, yeah, it'll link up everything. That's one thing I can say I've been doing right is I've been putting content out there enough to where when you look up my name, the names I just told you, you may see other people, but you're definitely gonna see me. I'll say 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna be the first person that's gonna pop up. This guy right here.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of episode one of possibly two, three, or four with LeVan the Man. If you
Repeat.
enjoyed this episode, please send me a like and a comment. If you didn't enjoy this episode, leave me a comment and tell me why. Until next time, this is Chris Shrun and LeVan the Man signing off. Cheers.